Welcome back, my friends. The final game between Elodin and Cowboy Dan in round one of CALLOUS Invitational 3. Yeah, it's been a good set so far. Game one was largely all Elodin. Cowboy Dan was back against the wall in game two, but for different reasons, thanks to some unfavorable hacks, but he managed to come back with some nice predictions, with some good maneuvering. He got a little bit of hacks back, and he managed to crawl his way back into the game. So this is going to be the rubber match. Please do give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the series and the tournament so far. I really appreciate it. And if you are not already subscribed to this channel, I could really use more subs than I've got. 100 being a wonderful number, because then I can get my URL back. So please consider subscribing if you've not already done so. Let's get into the third game. Elodin for the final time is on the bottom, and he's got a wheezing against the lead T-Tar from Cowboy Dan on top. Turn 1 Will-O-Wisp is going to be blanked by the fire type. Moltres comes in. Blissey, the response here, and Fire Blast going to do only 25% to Bliss. Takes it really well. T-Tar, the response to that. And that's going to be on the bad end of a Thunder Wave. It does not Lumberry that away. Focus Punch. Swampert coming in. Oh, that's got to be a Choice Bander to do that amount of damage. 59% on a Pert. That's got to be Choice Band. And Swampert goes for Protect there just for lefties, but that's heavy damage for sure early on. Protects again for more lefties, so Swampert does heal itself up to 60, which is a lot better than where it was before. And Skarm takes advantage of the situation and comes in. Kind of surprised that Dan didn't go to Skarm on the first Protect. I felt like it was relatively obvious that he was going to do that. But he still gets the spikes down here. And the only thing that happens in exchange is a T-Wave, whatever, and an S-Toss as the second layer comes down. May or may not be a spinner somewhere for Elodin, but it's not been shown yet. And full power going to kick in against Dan. S-Toss now puts the Skarm in range where another S-Toss will kill it, unless he protects. He could also just switch, of course, and he does opt to switch. T-Tar comes in on the S-Toss. If this is in fact a Choice Band Tar, Elodin's got to be careful here, and it's going to be Hidden Power Bug. That is no bueno. That is resisted by the Wheezing very handily. Takes only 14%, and that's going to force Dan to bring his T-Tar out. Blissey comes into Sludge Bomb, 30%, no poison. Another 30%, no poison. Soft Boiled negates a lot of that, gets 50% back. Blissey very healthy at 90%. Does have to watch for Boom here. Sludge Bomb does poison this time, and Dan is going to unluckily miss a Fire Blast. I don't know how much that would have done to Wheezing. It certainly doesn't kill, but it might have done a nice little chunk. Starmie comes down. There is a Rapid Spinner here, and Dan picks the wrong time to go to Skarm. That is not something that can threaten Starmie here. Dan tries to stay in anyway, and it does not work out. Surf takes him down as Elodin gets the first knockout of the game and has himself a 6-5 lead. Rapid Spin is the follow-up play. Down goes the 3 layers of spikes that Dan had established and cannot re-establish. He does at least have a meta here, flinging off Meteor Mashes, but now he finds out, he didn't know before, that Elodin has a Skarm. Handling it just fine. He gets a layer down and opts for the conservative play of Whirlwinding here. T-Tar we believe to be Choice Banded. Somebody's about to get nailed, and it's going to be Wheezing on the back end of it. Rock Slide, 41%. That's going to, of course, prompt Swampert. Dan knows that's going to happen, so he gets out in front of it with Moltres. And he goes to T-Tar thinking that Blissey will come in, which is probably a safe bet. But Elodin here is going to out-predict him. He goes for Protect. I think what Dan needed to do was show the attack first. I don't know. I don't know if it would have worked out well, because even if he had Focus Punch, that would prompt Swampert to just stay in and attack. So Elodin played that correctly, and Dan was not able to capitalize on that sequence. And Dan now definitely finds himself behind. He loses his Blissey, too, to an incoming Earthquake hit. So it's looking pretty bad. Elodin with a nice little lead here, 6-4, and he hasn't shown his last poke. Dan back against the wall once again. It feels like he has been regularly throughout this series. I don't know if this is Elodin being better than people thought, or if this is Dan being a little bit rusty, or a combination of both, but thus far, it feels like Elodin has been out in front in all 3 of these games. See if he can finish it off. Elodin outpredicts him here, comes in on the Choice Band Earthquake. T-Tar stays in trying to get cute. That does not work out. Here's Skarm attempting to spike up on him. If Dan's just going to sit in there, Elodin's going to take advantage of it, of course. Spike's Lair number 2 comes down. Here's Blissey, but the Moltres is just not threatening to it. 24% from Fire Blast simply isn't all that much, and Blissey is taking it just fine. Soft-boiled coming down for Bliss. This is looking really good for Elodin. I'm having a very difficult time envisioning the path to victory for Cowboy Dan. It would have to be, I think, an Agiligross or a Pinchberry Gross, which, yeah, we've already seen lefties. So I think it would have to be an Agiligross from Dan to have any chance, and even then, some things are going to have to happen. The wheezing is a problem. The Skarm is a problem. It would have to be an Agiligross that catches some luck, gets attack raises at the right time, maybe gets a crit at the right time. But that's basically what the game has become for Cowboy Dan. I don't know what else would possibly get him out of this at this point. T-Tar's at 34% and paralyzed, and is going to take 25% on entry from the 3 layers of spikes. It's just tough. It's a hard position for Dan. Swampert comes in now. I forgot that it was poison. Man, that's even worse. Dan is really, really not in a good place. Metagross, I think, is going to be his only chance at victory here. He's fishing for a crit against Bliss. Doesn't find it, but he does have another opportunity here. A crit with a decent roll could get her here. Goes Focus Punch instead. That will at least take something down, the Skarmory, before the Swampert succumbs to poison, which it is going to. And I agree with going Starmie here because that's going to prevent Metagross from going too wild here. There is Surf, and it is an Agiligross, but yeah, I mean, Dan's going to have to catch every piece of hacks. I think he has to mash here. I don't think he can Earthquake. He needs attack raises, and he agrees. There's the Meteor Mash. He does not get the attack raise that he's looking for. I think it would have actually been better if that didn't kill there, because that would give him a chance to get another mash off and get an attack raise, and then he would need a crit on the Swampert. There was a small window there where a specific sequence could have gone Dan's way to get him back into it, but I believe that window is all but closed now. This Moltres, even though it does kill the Swampert here, is never going to break the Blissey, and I believe this set is going to be, air quotes, an upset, if you believe that Dan was favored, that is, and I believe Dan is going to lose. He is the defending champ, and he is going to start out this tournament in the lower bracket. There is the concession. Elodin, without revealing his final poke, is going to take it down. Well played by him. Elodin looking impressive throughout the series. He really did. He played sharp. He didn't make a lot of mistakes. I mean, yes, he was on the better end of the RNG, but all things considered, Elodin looked good there, and Dan looked rusty. And when you take those things together, you've got what we got here. A close one, because Dan's really good, but nevertheless, Elodin is the victor in this set, and he will continue on in the winner's bracket. Alright guys, like I said, if you have enjoyed these games and the tournament, please consider giving me a thumbs up on the video, and equally, if not more importantly, please consider subscribing to this channel. Gotta get those numbers up, at least to 100. I would really appreciate that. If you don't want to be annoyed by the notifications, I hear ya. I don't subscribe to anything either for that reason. Just subscribe, turn the bell off so you don't get annoyed by the stupid notifications. It helps me a lot. I would really appreciate it. Look forward to more content.